Welcome everyone to another podcast of Adeel Pirzada podcast. Today we got a very special guest in-house at our studio, Mr. Shane Wenzel. How are you doing, Mr.?
I'm doing fine, gentlemen. How are you?
We're doing great. We are very thankful to have you actually on our podcast and especially in our studio. So thanks for the honor. I'm very excited. We got tons of questions to ask, and we actually have our audience already prepared with some questions too. So it's going to be a great podcast. But before I go into the full intro about you, I want to introduce my co-host, Mr. Kevin Padillo. How are you doing, Kevin?
Hey, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm unbelievable and glad to be here and glad to be with Shane and Adeel.
Perfect. So we decided on this podcast actually not too long ago, and it created a lot of excitement within our group because Mr. Shane comes with a very extensive background of home building, and I'm actually really excited to learn about him and his story. But we have some bio and intro about Shane
Yes.
that Kevin wants to present it.
Awesome. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. I'm very happy and blessed to have and introduce Shane Wenzel. Shane is the president and CEO of the Shane Homes group of companies. And Shane's responsibilities include strategic direction, policy advice for the building industry through Build Calgary, and political involvement through Alberta Enterprise Group on the economy, making him an industry leader in his field. Shane's sales and marketing background comes from growing up with two entrepreneurial parents, Cal and Edith, yeah. Edith, yes, and participating in a business advisory group. On the personal side, Shane considers himself a bit of a tech junkie and a social media influencer on various platforms, and he's also proudly a part of the LGBTQ community. And that's credits to the Shane Homes website, actually, is where I got this. Thanks to whoever wrote that.
Sales and marketing are doing their jobs well.
Yes.
Perfect. So, Mr. Shane.
Also, I just wanted to give a quick introduction.
Don't forget that.
Yeah, that's the most important part.
We planned this earlier. I just want to introduce the Pircon Group. We're a commercial construction firm. The main services that we provide are city permit drawings, design build, and also general contracting services, mainly in the construction space. And we love building restaurants. So if you'd love more information, visit pircongroup.com, pircongroup.com. The link is down below. Just hit that link and we'll connect.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Kevin. So, so this podcast is about real estate, construction, and entrepreneurship. And that's why it's such an honor to have Mr. Shane Wenzel in our office, because he's the true reflection of all those things. He's into the home building business. Shane group of companies, right? It's more than one company now, and his involvement as a president and CEO as a company, and the marketing things he's doing, and all the technology stuff he's doing for the company. So we really want to know all about that. Tell us, Mr. Shane. I just want to ask you this, which I ask pretty much everyone. How did your journey started? This obviously was in existence when you were kind of growing up. How did you get into this, and how did it exactly happen for you?
How do you know I'm not older? How do you know I didn't start this thing, and I look great for 70?
Well, no. The thing is, I actually did look up, and I actually known you for years. So you're not a person that is hard to find. Okay, I've actually known Shane Homes for a very long time.
Okay.
And my passion in construction, so I kind of keep my eyes open, and I've actually come across about you a long time ago. I'm not sure we bought many houses within our family, and my brothers, and we always buy new home and just move into a newer community, which I kind of hate because all the noise and everything.
Sure.
but we get a new house, so it's wonderful. And I'm not sure, we might have had one purchase where we did buy a home from Shane Homes. So Trico has been one of them.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so some of your competitors, but some of them I'm not a big fan of, so, but I won't discuss anything here. Yeah, now, obviously being in construction, after I saw what they built, I'm like, oh, garbage, right? So... So it's been, but I do know about you, and I know about a little bit of your journey, but I want to, a more introduction for our viewers and our audience. That how did it exactly happen? When was Shane Home came to existence, and how did you become part of it?
Well, the story goes back to 1979. My father and his business partner, Barry Balsley, they worked for a Jimmy Pattison company here in Calgary, and it was called Neonex Shelter, and the location is pretty familiar to a lot of people because it's the Crossroads Furniture Market. Okay. That used to be Neonex Shelter, and and they built mobile homes, and that's where my father started his kind of home building career.
Right.
What happened was the market for mobile homes slowly started to fade. And Cal was one of the most honest executives in the room because he was the VP of Sales and Marketing there, and Barry Balsley, his partner again, was the sales manager. So Jimmy shut down the company, and Cal and Barry both received, very large severance checks for being honest, and they pooled their money together, and they started this little home building company, which was named after me.
Wow, what an honor!
Yeah.
So your dad named the company after you.
He did, yes.
Wow.
And what was the feeling of your dad's partner?
You know what? Barry was okay with that. And to be honest, his plan at the time was, if he was financially capable of retiring at 55, he would retire at 55. Well, Barry turned 55 in the year 2000, and true to his word, he said, "I'm done. I'm going to live a life of leisure for the rest of my life. I don't want to continue working." And
Right.
I mean, Cal had to buy him out of the business.
So the partner already had a kind of exit plan in the head.
Yes, he did.
Before he started. Okay, right on. So do you have any siblings?
I do have siblings, and for the longest time, there was probably about 7 of us in the business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So there is 8 of you?
Not anymore.
Oh, okay. But
Just
at one
over
point-
time, it's
Okay.
changed. My one sister, who was head of interior design, left to start her own business.
Right.
She wanted her own autonomy, and she works better running her own operation. So it was very hard for her to work inside that mix.
Right.
So we wished her the best, and she moved on. My aunt Karen, went into retirement herself. She was doing a lot of the field coordination with sending out the work orders. My brother-in-law Dave is still actively involved in the business. He's actually the COO of the company. My sister Charlene is also a shareholder in the company, but she's semi-retired. She's more interested in being a grandmother now. That's her afterlife, and she enjoys that more.
Right.
My mother still does the odd piece of market research for us, mainly focus groups now. But she had done the market research for the group of companies for about 27 years.
Wow.
So she's kind of stepped back a little bit more. We jokingly say that she's a full-time activist now. So great job for a later career in life.
I heard you say group of companies. What's inside that?
What's inside the Shane Homes group of companies? Well, we have a land division now. So we have Shane Communities. We have Shane Homes Multifamily.
Okay.
And we also have, obviously, the single-family division, but we also have Shane Investments.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
I actually want to get into the group of companies, but I'm curious about one thing. So your dad named the company after you. I'm just kind of going back to that. And you had other siblings.
Yes.
What was their feelings? Like, hey, how come you didn't name the company after me, like your sister?
Because it wasn't my mother's first marriage.
Oh, okay.
So these are half siblings.
Gotcha.
These are half siblings in the company. So that's why it ended up being called
I
Shane
see.
Homes.
And you're the youngest?
I am the youngest.
That's the youngest gets all
Nice.
the all the
Absolutely,
all the good
we
stuff.
get treated differently.
I know that because I'm the youngest. So
See? Then
you get a special treatment, like everything first class. So That's awesome. Okay, right on. So what an honor. So it's actually a lot of times, parents, these companies, they'll have it after their kids or as a family, and the kids actually don't go and they follow the leadership of the parent and then carry on the business. So you actually did that, which is quite surprising because nowadays, especially like. Nobody does that. Like they have their own interest and they have their own things that they want to like and they're drawn towards too.
Well, second and third generation companies aren't that successful, and it gets even worse for third generation. I guess I was fairly lucky because I had a creative flair. I used to enjoy drawing comics and coming up with storylines, I used to love playing around with tech and broadcasting. So I disappointed my mother by following this career.
Right.
She always thought I should have pursued one of those, and she could never figure out why. And like I told her, I said, Mom, this gives me an opportunity to flex all the creative muscle that I've ever wanted to. I could play around in sales and marketing. I can get involved in design. I can be involved in the purchasing and estimating. So you get to flex a lot of creativity in a home building company because there's so many different sides of it.
Yeah. How old were you when you joined?
Part-time. Well,
like when you first joined, like part-time, like
I started on the job sites when I was 14 years old because my father told me, you're not sitting on your ass all summer doing nothing. We need help in the field. We're a young company and we need general labor. And that's what he got from me.
Really? And at that time, did you ever think like you were going to be the president and CEO of the company?
No, of course not. You're never thinking that far ahead when you're a kid. Even when I turned 18, I actually went to work for my mother in her market research firm for the first 6 months.
So your mother had her own business separate from...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, two very strong entrepreneurial parents.
Oh, wow.
She was involved in oil and gas for a number of years, and... when things moved in the opposite direction in the 80s, she still maintained that. She actually still consults now today. But her passion at the time was market research. So she's done a lot of things with that, not only for the company, but for the Alberta government. She's picked up a lot of contracts that way. So very intelligent woman when it comes to that.
Wow, powerful because that's the biggest, like your training from your parents is the best piece of knowledge that you can get because it's overtime and it's constant. So that's why you have such a strength in your background where you come from. Okay, so you worked at Shane Home in the beginning, right? And then you basically started from the field, right on the grounds in the labor.
Absolutely.
And basically work all your way up to be the president and CEO.
Framing? Were you doing framing or what were you doing there?
No, I wasn't doing framing. I was doing all the odd jobs. So the biggest one that I remember, and I absolutely hate the shit out of today, it was laying patio blocks.
Okay, yeah.
Because back then, 75% of the lots were walkouts. So you would run the patio blocks from the side of the driveway all the way down the side of the house, and you'd build that 5x6 patio down below the upper deck. And I can't tell you how many times, even with gloves on, you scrape your hands dropping that patio block on the parging as you laid it down on the side of the house.
Oh, wow.
So all I can ever think of is, cuts and bruises and, tears in your knuckles. And doing that all throughout summer.
Get me out of here.
Well, I'll tell you what, even in winter, because, Dad used to get excited when I had a professional development day at school. Because it just meant, hey, he can work 3 days. He can work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So when that came up, my teachers are, kind of sitting there saying, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to work. And you would clean out basements, strip railings, woodwork, clean up the job sites. That was always fun.
Wow, amazing. It's you're the boss's son, the owner's son, and then you're doing all the work. That's the best way to learn.
Sure it is.
From the very bottom. So when your dad started the company, it was just Shane Homes.
Yes.
Right? It was you guys just building a single family home at that time?
Front drive single family homes. Lots were 50 feet wide by 140 feet deep, and everything was 42 feet wide.
All same.
Yep.
Right on. And how long did you guys go into that until, it turned into a group of companies and started doing other things?
We started opening things up a little bit more when we got into the early 2000s. So we entered into the laned product. But even 17 years ago, what kind of made us unique is sitting there around the table at a strategic planning session and talking about, what can hurt us the most? Well, if we don't have land to build houses on, that's what can hurt us the most. I mean, where are we supposed to build them? So we started to take, more control of our own destiny at that point. And we started investing in land with a lot of the developer partners that we have today. And the intent was at the time was maybe to have control over 25 to 30% of your land supply. And now, I jokingly tell people it's about 125% of our land supply now, because we're actually turning down subdivisions that we're invested in.
Wow. So is it like, do you invest with the developer when they purchase the land, or?
Yes.
Oh, so you're in the very early stages with them, because it takes time to bring
sure
the
it
land
does.
to where you can actually start building a community. Right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of planning that went into that.
Wow, that's a lot of work and lots of headache, because I personally deal with some of that stuff, and it's not fun. And we're doing like smaller parcel land, so we're not looking into big large subdivisions. So those take years, like decades sometimes.
They never used to.
Yeah. Do you think there is actually more red tape in Calgary than
for sure.
it used to be?
Oh yeah, and I always make fun of that. Sometimes in a joking way, sometimes in a very serious way. The roadblocks to development have just grown over the years. I mean, we used to be able to buy a raw piece of land right next door to a subdivision, go in for approval, and you would have the shovel in the ground the next year. Now we've gone into deep, smart city planning. Depends. There could be a new buzzword. I think 15. We won't get into 15-minute cities. Let's save that for an article down the line. But the challenge is that they all want to plan it out well, which is great. I mean, you should take some time to plan out your city, but you do have to make decisions along the way. And I think that's the biggest challenge that I've seen, is that nobody wants to make a decision. Everybody wants to,
Pass it down.
They want to pass it down, or they want to build a better mousetrap. Well, you can only make... Whoops, sorry, guys.
Oh.
There goes our eardrums.
There we go. Sorry, guys. That's what happens when I start flailing my hands. I'm mad. But you can actually run into to issues that way when somebody's not making a decision, or they're trying to build a better mousetrap, is what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Housing is a very simple built form. And we all want to do what's right for the environment. We all want to use the least amount of materials and, cause the least amount of pollution out there. But that's what I find, is that we've gone too far in the other direction.
Yeah.
And now we're to the point where, 1 year to completion is now turning into 5, 6, 7 years. That doesn't bode well for the consumer, not when you're in a housing crisis.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I've worked in other provinces, and Alberta is actually the best out of like Ontario, BC, especially. Like it's horrible over there. It's like getting a permit for a simple addition in your home, and could take about a year.
Yes.
So we still got it pretty good here.
Sure we do.
But I think this is still a big challenge, like especially when things that I've seen and heard in the past, what it used to be and now what's becoming. There's so much lag and inefficiency in the work that and that's how we get those issues where you're not having enough homes for people. Because if you can't build them faster, you can't have it faster for people.
If you can't build them faster, even if you limit the amount of land supply that comes on, what happens? Every realtor out there starts rubbing their hands together, telling the landowner that it's no longer worth $90,000 an acre; it's worth $210,000 an acre. Well, who do you think pays that at the end of the day? The end user.
Yeah, exactly. Anything, all the costs that you can just pile it up on it. At the end of the day, it's the homeowner that's going to pay for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you want to get more lightings on the road, or you want to get special ponds? No problem. Homeowner will pay for that.
Yeah, so there's a certain amount of engineering, and there's a lot of over-engineering, and that's one of the biggest frustrations. It's like, make a decision, make it simple. People need homes.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's for sure actually a huge problem in lots of other places in the world too. It's not just here. But I'm actually still thankful for what we have, at least so far in Alberta. Hopefully it doesn't get ruined further. Actually, even Edmonton, it's worse than Calgary. So Calgary still is pretty good. They got more red tape,
Really?
for what I understand. Yeah.
Oh.
In some areas.
I had an argument with a counselor up there who said they have less red tape. But.
Yeah, so actually I wanted to ask you, are you guys anywhere other than Calgary? Shane Home is building other than Calgary and the areas, or
Calgary and surrounding area, but right now just Calgary and Airdrie. We may re-enter the Chestermere market again. Not likely Okotoks, not likely Strathmore, not likely Cochrane. But, we are considering our options down in the United States right now.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Fix your mic. Just a little.
Yeah.
I broke my mic.
Is it?
You hear static still, or?
I'm still good. Yeah.
Okay. Just when Shane was talking, there was a static.
Yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
Don't beat up the mic.
But I think you did
Flail
something
hands
with
out
my
here.
headphones, and now I'm really loud to
Uh-oh.
in my own ears.
Okay.
That's okay. We'll have to maybe cut that part out.
Yeah. Bloopers.
Yeah.
Bloopers. Well, that's what they're meant for.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, really interesting. So you haven't thought about moving to like have your presence in Edmonton or any other city in Alberta? No?
Well, there's a little story behind that. Every 5 years, my father will come back and bug me about why aren't we up in Edmonton. And every time I do the planning for it, I sit there and say, this isn't worth it. Now, I know it seems like it's just an automatic, but when you understand the markets in both places, Calgary's ups and downs kind of ebb and flow like this. Mm-hmm. Edmonton's tend to go like this. Mm-hmm. And that's always a bit of a challenge, because if you're trying to achieve, some sort of critical mass, it's hard to do it in a sufficient amount of time.
Right. And Calgary is very unique in terms of its location too, as compared to Alberta, and that's hence the reason we have a bigger population and is a better demographics in some ways. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I'm surprised, I'm asking you, because a lot of companies then when they go as big as you are, they tend to go into another town, another city, and then they already have the infrastructure, so they can just grow faster. Now you said you're thinking about going to United States.
Yes.
Where in USA?
Well, I can't really
You can't
talk about that just
You would have to
yet.
kill me.
There are good options down the United States, and that was the most appealing thing about it, was that again, there's a little more freedom with land and home building. It's a little easier to get approvals in these regions. Yes. And that's why we're taking a long, hard look at it.
Yeah. I think it's worth it. Mm-hmm. From my personal experience, the USA is a much bigger and better market. Mm-hmm. Even when it comes to, we deal with permits and things like that. And I had an experience to work in USA. Things move faster over there, way faster. There's less red tape. Minus California and New York. And
well, I was going to say, stay away from California.
Exactly. Right. Other than that, I think, Texas is like us and much better. Mm-hmm. You can build anything in different, ways, and it's better because then you have more product in the market, and then it's not waiting and then making people hungry, and now they're paying extra money just because of that.
And that's the biggest thing. But, especially those regions like Texas, they're growing leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
You have people fleeing California. I even know this on a small micro scale from just from Montana, because we have a little cabin down there. 45,000 people moved into the Flathead Valley in Montana, and the vast majority of them came from California because they can work remotely. Or they wanted a change in lifestyle. So they're moving out of a condo there, and they're moving into a house, a condo in California, and moving into a house in Montana.
Yeah.
What a great lifestyle change.
Huge migration that has happened and still happening into Florida and Texas. And it's simply because of that that's stupid government policies, if you want to call that, and all the red tape for some businesses. Okay, so that's really wonderful that you looked into actually crossing the border and going over there, but you didn't look at maybe doing it over here, and I'm sure you have your own reasons. So now, what about the diversity that you have got within the company? Not in terms of people, I'm discussing in terms of operations. So your single family homes, then multifamily, then laned homes. Now you got the development,
Semi-detached townhomes.
semi-detached development, and you're developing your own land as well.
We even have our own parcels, yeah. Yes,
Okay.
we'll open up on our own Glacier Ridge here next year.
Okay, so Glacier Ridge. Okay, so
Yeah.
you guys now is this solo by Shane
Yes,
group
it
of
is.
companies? So
Yes, it
okay,
is.
so you guys are the only. And have you done any community that is just you guys?
This is the first one.
This is congratulations.
We just finished off a small pocket up in the Hamptons around the golf course there. There were actually 2 golf holes that were taken out, and we developed about 56 lots there.
Right on.
That would be the only other one, but not really a subdivision. It's more of an infill project. So
Yeah, for you guys it is.
yeah, that was an interesting experience. Yeah.
Right on. How is it different when it comes to building multifamily to single family to other products? Like, do you have to have a different team, people?
For
team,
sure.
Yeah.
For sure you do. Just it's a different team of people. It's a different mindset as well. With multifamily, and I don't profess to be the expert. We're still learning ourselves, but I mean, you want to turn the product a heck of a lot faster. I
Right.
mean, you talk about approvals. It might take you from the time you go in to the time you have a shovel in the ground could be 2 years.
Right.
You know, a lot can change in your marketplace in 2 years. I mean, to me, I get grumpy in my old age, and I sit there and say that should be a 6-month process period. There's no reason for it to take any longer. The roadways are already in place. You're just developing a big lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually should be a lot faster if you look at it because everything is at one spot.
Yes,
So you should be able to turn it a lot faster than it usually takes.
I'd love to say that too. But, I mean, you need those big drawings. And you need the engineer stamps on them, and they do take
You gotta
time
build
to
a
do 'em
parkade,
properly.
and there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into.
Sure.
I actually have a somewhat background in land development, so it's very close to me. How is it land development for you? It's
In what way?
and so I want to ask you a couple of different ways. So one is as a project that you do, right? So it's a bigger. Obviously, now you're just not building homes. You're responsible for the entire community. That what happens in there.
Yes.
What is it that you're looking at maybe doing differently that you would think that Shane Home will make a mark in land development that makes it different from other developers?
Well, actually, one that I didn't mention was Midtown and Airdrie, which actually was our first full-fledged subdivision, kind of a bit of a project. Really just, the proper transition within a community is, I think, important. You know, we had single family, one little parcel of about 500 homes. On one side, you have a bunch of single family homes, and on the other side, you have multifamily homes. So transitioning the product properly, just to preserve people's investment. But then you get to try a few different things out with adding in a smaller commercial site and accommodating the community that way. Are we putting windmills up? Are we putting solar panels on the roofs? No, not yet.
Right.
Not
right.
yet.
So that's what the city wants you to do. Yeah.
They haven't mandated anything yet. You might see that under the new National Energy Code, and I'm a bit of a pain in the butt about that because, again, you can only build the perfect mousetrap
Yeah.
so much.
Right.
Solar panels, the technology hasn't improved a heck of a lot in the last 30 years because that was going to be a unique selling proposition for my father when he first started the company. And he's monitored it ever since. So he's been monitoring this for 42 years, and he still can't rationalize it.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there is a net zero, I think, requirement or recommendation,
That's the goal.
right?
And
So
each individual province can decide what they implement, but eventually they will have to implement it all. And I guess I just have a real difficulty with net zero homes because it takes longer to build, for one. And will people actually maintain it? And most of all, will they see the value in it? Because from where we are now with specifications, and I'm just using ours as an example, I can't speak for everybody else.
Right.
There's an additional cost of $30,000 to $35,000
Yes.
on the home. Now, amortize that over 25 years, that's damn near $60,000 that you will never see a return on. So how is that right? If we are trying to go after GHG emissions in this country, come up with a renovation tax credit across the country that people can use, and you're going to do a hell of a lot more damage replacing those old mid-efficient furnaces from the 1990s, because I'll tell you what, when we put them in, they were 68% efficient. I'll tell you what, today they might only be about 37% efficient because they haven't been maintained properly.
Crazy.
You know,
Wow,
so
what a
little things like
solid
that.
point that you got there. Because we all want to do something for the betterness, right? And then we all want to save energy and become more efficient. But the thing is, like, whatever we're taking in consideration to do, is that actually going to work or not? That's a bigger question that nobody's asking. Just everyone's pushing on doing it, but no one's waiting to look at it. Like, is it actually going to work? And is there a better way to make it work?
Well, there's lots of questions you can ask on that. I'm going to pick on the window guys, you know, because they love to, you know, flog the triple pane and how much better they are for energy efficiency. But then I sit there and say, you know, in a typical house, you're going to have what, between windows and doors, you're probably going to have, you know, 30 to 35 to possibly 40 windows and doors in a house. You're adding more glass in. How is that efficient?
Yeah.
You're saving energy. Okay, yeah, but again, it's a window. You can only get so much efficiency. You go, you know, a 1 R or 2 more in the window. You know, we're preserving the environment, but because of the requirements for engineering, we actually put more wood, more lumber into a home build now than we ever have before.
Yeah.
So you kind of sit there and say, how are we doing the environment any favors?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you looking as a group of companies to do so some of these things that you notice that aren't working? Are you looking at replacing that and coming up with something better that, in your opinion, that works better?
We've been doing that the whole time. You know, you up the R value in the walls, but more importantly, you up the R value in the attic.
It's all in the ceiling. That's
Yes.
where it's
Well,
most of the leakage happen. Yeah.
That's where the most leakage and you know, you work on the leakage in the home, but the biggest challenge with that is always, you know, and I always remember this conversation with one of our old construction managers is, houses have to breathe. And at first that statement in itself sounds stupid. What do you mean houses have to breathe? Well, look at them now. Right now, if I didn't put the air exchange unit in a home, you're getting 1.2 air exchanges per hour. That's not healthy.
Yeah.
That's not healthy for anyone.
Yeah. You don't want to breathe into your own rusty air all the time.
But now we have to put air exchangers in houses. So another piece of equipment that requires electricity to run just so you can get the proper amount of fresh air in your home.
Yeah.
So to me, that's where I get frustrated. To me, that's counterproductive. That's not right.
That is true. Like, there are so many things that, you know, that become part of the policy or recommendations that honestly don't do any advantage to anyone. They just cost more money and just takes it longer. And there are ways to make things better and efficient, 100%. So that's actually very good to know, because typically you would see someone coming in here, a home builder, and say, yeah, like, we're 2030 and we're just going to match everything what they're looking for. Just, you know, buy more homes from us. Look, we're those guys. But having a different opinion, that actually makes the whole process better. It's a pretty big thing. So good on that. Now, are you looking into really thinking like we could achieve the goal like that has been set out, that for the energy efficiency, like in terms of homes? Or do you think like we're going to need one day a completely different house? Like this drywall framing, this doesn't work anymore. Insulation, no matter what we do to it.
You've seen the houses evolve over the years anyways. You know, again, I started off saying lots used to be 50 feet wide by 140 feet deep. Your average lot now is 26 feet wide by about 105 feet deep. So we're building more compact homes to begin with, but I think the most significant change that I've seen over the years is that people are buying homes to live in now, more so than they were buying them years ago as an investment. And the reason I say that is everybody had to have a living room, dining room, family room on the main floor, and they had to have 4 bedrooms upstairs. Nowadays, there's no living room, dining room combination. We call them dining nooks. And then we have a multi-purpose room up front for whatever they want to use it for. Some people want that separate sitting space. Some people want a prayer room. Some people want a home office.
Yeah.
The kids' bedrooms have got to be larger, and the closets have got to be larger. So a 4-bedroom isn't as important unless you live, in Northeast Calgary, where you have multi-generational families living together. And the most popular design you're going to find is a 5-bedroom, 4.5-bedroom house, or 4.5-bathroom house.
Yeah. It's really popular in the Northeast.
Yes.
Like 4 bedrooms is minimum.
It's an automatic, but
That's
again,
cool.
multi-generational families. So,
Yeah.
in a way, I'm kind of jealous, because they do keep the family unit together.
Yeah.
And that's what's important to that culture.
Yeah. And
Wow.
and that means
That's
bigger
interesting.
homes. And
Really
actually,
cool.
it's actually
Wow.
save cost.
Sure it does.
Right? Because now you're not having a huge home and 2 people in it. You got maybe a bigger house,
Yes.
but you got lots of people living in it.
Yeah.
And they very well use the house, so it pays for every single
Yeah, for sure.
penny that's made for that, for sure. That's okay. So you're looking now. This is where it actually brings us to marketing, because this is all your marketing insight, understanding the market.
Yes.
There's 2 types of marketing. So you'll talk about marketing research. That is what people are doing or what they want. And your mother had a business in that.
Yes.
There is a marketing as a company, that getting yourself out there marketing. How important do you think is that type of marketing? So I want to
one?
get into the marketing research, but marketing yourself as a brand, as a company, how important is that?
Having a solid brand is absolutely important, but there's a big difference between brand and just sales and marketing. The brand is what you live by. I mean, that's really, the biggest part of that to me is the culture of the company. It's not promotional materials. It's not advertising. We have this home here. The brand that you're building, or the brand that you have, like the Shane Holmes group of companies, is culture. It's the people.
Right.
And that, they live and die by a value system that they've helped create.
Right. It's the history of that 44 years.
Yes.
Right. And that's what builds the brand. That's what is the
44
brand.
years, and 126 people who have a say in what that means and how they portray it to the consumer and to the
Right.
rest of the world.
Right. So, and I see your initiative in marketing as the CEO and president. I don't think many home builders that, if you were to take the top 5 or top 10 in Calgary, especially the family business home builder, aren't doing any of the type of marketing that I see you're doing, which is actually getting yourself in front of the camera, being
Yeah.
available, being out there. That is very
For sure.
important. What was the decision that you made? Is like, I'm going to do something differently that no one's doing it.
That just kind of happened by chance. We had an election here in Calgary about 12 years ago, and all I kept hearing is, the difference maker was social media, Twitter. So I opened up a few social media accounts. The first one was on Twitter, just to find out what's this all about.
Right.
And it just kind of grew from there. I'm opening up a LinkedIn account. The Instagram account was fun because my son, asked me to open one up because he had one. And a little
Okay.
bugger, he would go between my house and his mother's house. And, every week he would come back and say, how many followers you got? He says, I'm up to 81. I'm like, I have 18. And he did that for about three times in a row. And finally he came back the one day, he says, I'm up to 190 followers. I said, I have 352. What? No, how? And I let it go.
Competition's on.
I let it go for a year, and then I finally told him I went and bought 250 followers because I was tired of you kicking my ass.
Oh, you bought it.
I bought 250 followers on Instagram just to prove a point to him. But it turned out to be kind of fun and a way to pass the time, and it just kind of kept growing from there. But then we got into lockdowns. And
COVID.
Yes, my favorite time. Everybody's favorite time.
Yeah.
And our marketing team came back and said, you know how you could really help us is, can you kind of help support us on social media? Well, yeah, okay, I could do that. But I said, you're not going to tell me how to do it. I'm just going to do it my own way and stay the hell out of it because these are my accounts. And it just kind of snowballed up from there.
So it
Oh,
grew
cool.
on you.
It grew, and it grew to being a part-time job and almost a full-time job. So I need help with it now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you must have a marketing team within your own within your organization.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you have to let people go now you're doing their work?
No, because they do their own.
Okay.
I can't even keep up with it. I have to pop into the odd marketing meeting to learn the new terminology or the new acronyms
Right.
because it's hard to keep up with that. Keeping in mind, when I started working for the company, I started working as a marketing assistant under my father, Cal. And we were placing classified ads in the Herald Home section. And, things just kind of grew from there. I mean, the first year I came back and said, well, I want to buy 8 full-page color ads in the Calgary Herald. I mean, he almost
Right.
fell out of his chair. Well, the cost wasn't that cheap. Even back then, I think a full page in the Herald Home section was something like $10,000.
Wow.
Holy.
But
Probably that's
I think
50,000
it's
now or
cheaper
something.
now.
No, isn't it? It's hard to
Well,
believe when you compare that to what it is today. And,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
but
a lot.
But he was always on me about that. It's like, why are we spending that? I'm like, well, you want attention. You're going to get attention.
Right.
And that just kind of morphed our marketing strategy over time. And eventually, I needed a graphic designer, and we started doing a lot more of our own at that point. I actually convinced him to have a department in the company. It took me time to get
Sweet.
past one employee and two. And my favorite story is the website. We had a website in 1996 because this was the new big thing. And for 8 years, my father harassed me as to why we kept sticking $30,000 a year into this stupid thing called a website. And now he gets it. He did the same thing to me when, Shane Holmes took on their own social media.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this stupid social media? It's like, God, this is how the world is changing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually it's very important to stay with the flow and
Sure
change
is.
where, because you can't restrict it. You can't restrict the change. You can only
Yeah,
flow
for
with
sure.
it, because if you become a wall, it'll knock you down.
Well,
So,
this is why the average life expectancy of Canadian companies is, roughly 20 to 30 years. There does come a point in time where companies don't want to change with the way the market is going, and
Yeah.
that's what eventually leads to the downslope in business.
yeah, the old ways of doing it
Yeah,
doesn't
for
really
sure.
work for that long.
Even just on the tools, some guys I've met different construction teams, they do things still the old way.
Yes.
Like the practices, and then there's whole new automation and things to do it faster. They should decide not
Sure
to
it
use
is.
it. They don't care.
Come on, 1990, the finisher used to be on site. He used to build all the cabinets in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on site.
Right on site, so you drop, 30 sheets of oak plywood, and, Wally Hewer was out there building the cabinets and absolutely everything with the home.
Yeah.
Now Kingswood Cabinets pounds out 500 kitchen or 500 packages for houses a day, and their wastage in their factory is about 3%.
Wow.
So that's a great thing for the
Wow.
environment.
3% waste.
3%
Crazy.
waste.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's actually, I got a
Wow.
funny story. There is one commercial project that we picked up a long time ago, and then I had to hire like a mill worker. So it was out of town. It was not in Calgary. It was, I think, in Saskatchewan. So I hired this company, and then they're like, yeah, we're going to come and build it. And I'm like, and I was actually used to, because I'm not that old. So, well, I may look old, but well, at least not old enough that I've been around construction for so long that I've seen everything, the old ways or old days of doing construction. So I've always known that the millwork gets done at the warehouse at the millworker place, and then it'll come and install it. So that's what I thought. So I hired this guy. I'm like, yeah, I need millwork, come install it. And then this guy comes, and he has nothing, his tools, right? And then
Yes.
he got big 4x8 sheets that he's just bringing in. And we're like, okay, where are the cabinets? He's like, I'm going to build it right here. And I actually didn't know that that's how they were kind of building it back in the days.
Yes.
Because I'm used to having it done, just make an order. Here's a drawing, get it done, and then just cut it to the size, build it, bring it to site, and install.
Prefab.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that that's how they were doing it. So yeah, there are a lot of old ways of still and you know what? Construction is actually one of the industry that hasn't grown with everything else. Like we're still doing the way even we build homes today. We were building homes like that 100 years ago. We haven't changed. There have been some changes, but there haven't been enough drastic changes that really, changes the industry with the technology. There are things happening on the software and other things. So nothing on the bigger end, which will just change the course of construction. Do you have plans on that as a home builder? Building unique homes, maybe in the near future, maybe what do you call those prefab?
Yeah.
Are you guys working on that
Believe it or not, 90% of what we build is prefabricated.
right now?
Yes.
Really?
The floors, the walls, the trusses.
Oh wow.
This is what happens when you have a father and some of the old guard who were in that business at DNX Shelter, because that's what they were doing, is they were prefabricating modular homes. There's no cost savings. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, a lot of people think, well, you can do it faster and you can save a ton of money. There's no cost savings whatsoever. What you're saving at the end of the day is we no longer need 6 garbage bins on the job site. We only use 2, maybe 3.
Gotcha.
Right? Because all the offcuts are back at Star Building Products. They're back at the shop. The framing crews, which is, I think, a great thing. The average life expectancy for somebody on a framing crew might be up until the age of 50, and then they have to retire because their joints or their back are gone. And you needed 5, 6 people on a crew. Now you need 3 and a Zoom boom. So the safety aspect of it has improved dramatically. I mean, believe it or not, those big picture windows that used to go into houses, they used to hoof that up on 2 ladders. And God, if the wind came up, that window was gone. That window was gone.
I could see that picture.
Now
smashing the ground.
They just lift it up into place with a Zoom boom, so it's more level. They're safe, which is the biggest thing, but, they don't need as many people on the crew.
Right.
And at some point in time, the progress of, building those prefabricated walls might include having the windows in there. You might even have some sort of prefabrication for electrical in there and plumbing. I know there's a few that have tried it. Landmark Homes tried it up in Edmonton, and I think Rizza still has the factory, but he can't do it to that degree at this point.
Would it be this? I know you said the same cost.
Yes.
Would it be the less labor time or same time?
You're going to save 2 days framing a house.
With prefab.
With
versus
prefab,
that.
yeah. But the perception was always, we're going to save thousands. No, you're not saving a thing. It's still
2 days.
It's still the same cost. You're going to save 2 days of time with the right framing crew. But the good part is that again, the wastage. You go back to what I mentioned about Kingswood cabinets. The wastage is far less, because all those offcuts are back at the factory, or you're able to, they send it out in a package to use for blocking in the floor.
Yeah. So I think it increases the safety, right?
Yes.
Increases some time. So you do have some advantage in time. Cost, you're saying, is pretty much the same.
Identical.
Now, do you guys are you guys building homes like that? Like single family homes?
Oh, yeah.
So you would have the whole wall framed out, already drywalled on one side?
No, just framed up.
Just framed.
So they're trucked out on site.
Okay.
Your framers use the Zoom boom, flip the wall
Walls
in
and-
place, throw it in with a nail gun, and you're good to go.
Right on.
And that
Yeah.
gives you some consistency too, because
Yeah.
of course, with the technology, with the walls being built in the factory, they're the same walls every time.
Yeah. And is that being built in your factory?
No, we have a secondary partner that we use for all our wall systems.
Oh, okay.
Walls,
right on.
floors, and trusses.
Oh, okay. So all the framing is done over there. So
Yeah.
does it gain? Do you think there is more stuff down the road we could do it, or you could do it as a home builder in off the site prefab that could increase efficiency and reduce time?
There's always opportunities for that, of course.
Yeah.
The average home has actually dropped in size over the years, only by a few hundred square feet, but the homes themselves are efficient.
Right. Right. Yeah. This is a big thing. I actually want to discuss about the future and what you guys are exactly doing.
I love home building. It's so exciting. I'm excited right now.
We get turned on in construction, so I'm sorry for having too much fun.
I know. I can tell.
So, because our show is about business and it's about real estate and construction, and on the business end, just for the people that are watching, and a lot of actually our viewers. Our clients, they're entrepreneur, right? They are just starting a business. They maybe a daycare or a dentist, so first time business owner, and they're all growing their business, right? They want to know things, marketing, and they're trying different things. So something from you would be really helpful for them.
Okay.
So we talk about marketing being there. One thing I actually don't hear I hear the term marketing a lot. It's actually from your podcast the other day I listened, and you talk about marketing research, and you're a big bug on that.
Yes.
You learned that from your mother.
Yes.
So tell us about marketing research. What do you exactly do, and how you think it's helpful for any organization?
How the hell else do you know what to sell people? You have to understand what people want. I mean, we all have our own preconceived notion of what people want, especially in a house. But how do I validate that?
Yeah.
So again, we'll take the Northeast as an example. What's important there is they're multi-generational families. So we had to do some research. It was tough because not everybody wanted to come out and sit in a focus group and tell us what they wanted, but they wanted spice kitchens. They wanted room for prayer rooms. They needed that 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house, 4.5-bathroom house, because they have such a large family living there.
Right.
Well, that's different and unique than what we would sell in Northwest Calgary, because we're not building that same model because you don't have that same purchaser over there. So you really have to drill down and find out what makes people tick and what's important to them. We even played around with it during the lockdowns or shortly after the lockdowns, because what was big for the people working from home, podcast rooms, gaming rooms.
Yeah.
So you had
little
to learn
office nook.
A little office nook, like having those pocket spaces.
Work from home, yeah.
Or those spaces available to do more than just live in a house were important to people. So we even played around with it on some of our show homes. We added in a podcast room in one. We added in the ultimate gamers room in another.
Wow.
We added in the yoga meditation room in another, because if you're working from home, yes, you're going to go insane eventually. So you need to meditate that one out.
Right. So are you actually like building it and then you would get the feedback, or you do the surveys prior to?
We had that prior to on the surveys.
Okay.
We already knew that the people wanted it. We just had to build it and give them an idea, give them a concept. That's why I was saying to Kevin earlier on, you walk in, it's like I have been in a number of podcast rooms. I've never been in the same one.
Right.
Because everybody has a different interpretation. This is different than anything else I've been in. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, somebody's version of a home office is completely different. We had someone buy a corner lot for a home and put in a stairwell to the basement and run their 4-person company out of the basement because they have parking. And they're not going back to downtown. So different approach, right?
Yeah. Wow. Do you guys build custom homes, like completely custom?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
okay.
Every home that we build is customized.
So it's customizable, right? You can make changes as a homeowner.
We have pre-selected options, but invariably people want to get in there and put their own touches in. So everything is customized, and we do build from scratch custom homes.
That's awesome, because I know a lot of builders, they won't change a thing. And some of them are massive, like I'll name it. I don't think I'll get hate for that. Mattamy Homes, they won't change a thing.
No.
They're like massive. They're like Costco. That's how I think of it, and somewhat of quality wise too. It's not the best. And I noticed that I've actually had 2 purchases from them, and I purchased in one area in the Northeast. Is a horrible quality, but I purchased kind of same product in Chestermere, and it was a better quality. So I'm like, what's going on? But they're very simple, and they won't change anything. Like you want just paint maybe and door style. That's it.
That's their business model, though. But again, you always have to look at the motivation behind that business. So Peter Gillian's business model is volume. You know, so he'll go in there and, you know, his pricing will typically be lower because, you know, he turns his product quick.
Right. Yeah.
He has to, you know, because he's got obviously some large loans out there, but to his credit, he's been very successful.
Yeah.
And he's one of Canada's billionaires.
I think it's a great model because, what I love about it, they'll just buy the whole thing out, and nope, we're the only one doing construction. Nobody can come in.
Yeah.
They won't let any builder in, so they go heavy on that. Which is, I've been on some projects where we did work for them as a contractor. So, they got a massive hold in the market in terms of what they get done because they're land developer and a builder at the same time. So there's a lot.
But it's very much that business model from the United States, because when you take a look at some of the larger states, even like Florida, you're going to have Pulte Homes, D.R. Hortons, all of them. That's what they do, is they just turn product quick.
Right. And the way to do it is not have too much customization.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. I mean, I think one of the most sobering moments is we were just on a housing tour in the United States here last year, and we were looking at one of the floor plan options at a builder, and the option was upgraded ensuite, and the option was a bench in the shower. That was the only thing that was different, and they wanted $1,000. Yeah, that's not an upgraded ensuite to us.
Yeah, it's actually every builder have their own kind of standard.
Sure.
And then you go to one and they're like, this is their standard and it's nothing. And then you go to other one and it's standard and everything looks upgraded. My personal experience has been pretty good with Shane Homes. Even when I'm not buying home, if I'm driving into a new community, I would always stop and I will go to show home and just check out what they're selling. And I love construction, so I want to know what they're building and maybe admire some things and get some ideas. So with your builder group, do you guys, all your are everyone's building the house as in-house, or do you hire a lot of sub-trades?
Oh, yeah, always have sub-trades.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have our own site supervisors, construction assistants,
but the majority,
pre-occupancy people, service and warranty people, but the majority are all sub-trades.
Right on. That keeps the quality in line in many ways too, right?
Biggest challenge is just to get the consistency.
Right.
You know, in a normal world, that's not difficult. Because we're not going out there and buying the lowest price. We're buying from groups that share a lot of the same values as our corporate group does.
Right. Okay. Right on. I think I'm getting a lot of knowledge here. I just want to come down to my very, actually not the very last, but the second last is the point actually I want to discuss with you is the future. What is the future for Shane Homes? What are you looking for 10 years, 20 years, 30, 40, 50-year goal?
We're just going to keep growing. We're just going to keep growing in the Calgary market and surrounding area and the United States.
Keep building more homes, keep developing more communities.
Yeah, and I mean, it could have other divisions to it. Like I mentioned, the investment division, we invest in a lot of weird and wonderful things.
So what is the investment division of it? What are you guys doing in there?
Well, sometimes your developers need loans. Sometimes a commercial developer needs loans.
Right.
So they can get a loan that way. But no, I made investments in a few things technology-wise. The one that really stands out to me is, a product called Only, which allows you to build and price your own home. We've known that was on the list of consumer requirements for a number of years, and we actually had our own software developed here locally. The challenge was it wasn't sustainable. Because you can't do that as a loan entity. I mean, it was just there were too many changes, and you couldn't justify the cost. Only is a platform that does exactly that, only more.
Right.
Now they're down to verifying the purchase. They have partnerships with mortgage brokers. So they take the process and begin to accelerate it up front and make it easy so that people can literally buy their own home from the convenience of their current home.
That's cool.
Is that a software?
That's really interesting.
Yes, it is. Only.
Very easy. for them as well. It seems easy for them.
Well, I mean, you talk
Simple.
about innovation. I mean, how many people, when you go out to buy a new vehicle, do you not spend time on the website? Do you not price it out? For sure
Right,
you do.
right,
For sure you do.
They
now.
actually have more information before they go into the dealership these days.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have it all up front.
So
Easy.
you can like build your house right on the website.
Yes, you can select
And-
the lot, you can pick the home, you can get pre-approved for a mortgage.
Oh wow!
You can verify your identity. That
All
way
the
when-
customization that you want.
We're getting there.
Okay.
We're getting there. I'd love to say that you can pick the pre-selected options, but it's hard to customize a home
Right.
online. You have to be in front of an individual at that point.
Right. We're actually working along those lines. We want to have that for our client. We have our own in-house software for estimating
Yes.
that we use that works for us, like the whole system.
Perfect.
But we're working on where actually the client can jump onto a website and it's like, because we get a lot. It's like, hey, how much is it going to cost me to build this? How much is it going to cost me to build that? So
Quick quote.
yeah. And so if they can go and quickly 10 steps or 5 steps, they can figure out
Perfect.
what their cost is. So
Yeah.
that is where the future definitely heading, because people want instant answer. They want to know right away and be able to make the decision right away.
Exactly. They want
So
the
they-
information now.
Exactly. So that's very powerful. So you're having those in-house software, pretty much, right? And then people will be able to price it. Now, is that operational right now? Like I could use that.
It's been active since last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it's your
Wonderful.
software, or is it you're investing
No,
in that software?
We're investing in that software. That's where
Okay.
the investments come from.
Right.
So only as an individual entity, and they're making strides in Canada. They're even making larger strides in the United States with this product.
Cool.
Right.
Interesting.
Okay. So okay. So you're the future is so a lot of it's technology for you, and like you said, you're into technology in your introduction as well.
Yes.
You love you love the uniqueness of it. What other ways are you helping your organization in technology? Like what other things have you adopted as a technology?
Well, I mean, customer service is a good one, and there's a good local brand, a great entrepreneurial story here in Calgary from a company called Virtual. And I remember meeting with Nate here about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
He was grateful because he said, "You're the only one to actually sit down and meet with me," and we couldn't come to a conclusion then because the product was just too new.
Okay.
And it was funny because we get into lockdowns, and this comes across our customer experience manager's desk, and she wants me to come in and listen to this presentation. Of course, I'm bursting at the seams. I'm like, well, now is the right time. People are used to this, and I mean, it's an incredible platform. So it was easy to say yes. You're booking your appointment. You're doing a lot of things online. Right after you make the purchase. I mean, they've got a liaison that takes over and helps you, plan your move. There's so many things you can do with this. So the focus being on the customer experience, but customer service,
Right.
just communicating is huge.
Yeah. So
Powerful.
is that a third party company?
That's a third-party company.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Great local entrepreneurs.
We're going over the 1 hour limit. I know you have a time
Uh-oh.
frame, so I just want to give a heads
I'm
up
good,
for
I'm
Anna,
good.
if you're all right with that.
Yeah, well, almost there. I just got maybe few more questions, and then I don't know if you got any questions that you want to ask.
Yeah, I actually wanted to take time to ask some of our audience questions.
Oh, that's right. Let's do that.
Yeah, so I wanted to take time. We have two. I pooled online and social media for people to ask questions and what they want to ask Shane Wenzel, and they wanted to take the opportunity. A lot of people were like, "Whoa, that's exciting! You have Shane coming." They're like, "Oh, excited!" So I have two guys. One of them is my good friend, and another is he's a real estate agent, and. One of them, I'll start with Bob here. Bob's with Maxwell Realty, and he had a great question. We have already actually answered some of these questions that they have listed here, such as how did you get in the industry? But another question, one question that he has, if you could quickly share, Shane, is what would you say are like 3 things that have helped you become a successful businessman?
Never stop learning is one of them.
Yeah.
I'm the first one to sit there and say, when I can't accept change anymore, it's time for me to step out of this role. And I mean that
Interesting.
quite sincerely because, you know, again, the average life expectancy for a company in Canada is 20 to 30 years, and then they're gone.
Wow.
So you want to know how you survive a long time in business? Be prepared to change, and you have to keep learning about what are the changes in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. So accept change.
Except
What about number? No, what about number 2?
find that happy work-life balance.
Okay.
You know, I've seen too many. I've had too many friends who can't find that, and you know, they're on their third marriage or their third divorce, whichever you want to call it. You do have to find a happy balance because let's face it, life's too short. And
Yeah.
if you don't have that balance in place, you might be successful on one side and a failure on the other.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
You can't have too much of one thing. It definitely ruins you.
So when you started as the president,
Yes.
did you have that or no? Were you like always working? Did you have a happy balance, or did you see your dad have a happy balance, or where did you?
My dad had the happy
learning.
balance for what he wanted. You know, I wish I had more time with him. Do I regret it? No. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
this is a very beautiful thing that he started and created. But I vowed I wanted more time with when I had kids, and you know, I spent that time with my son. You know, he was a soccer player for 10 years, and I was his coach for 3 years. That was fun. A guy who's never played soccer before, you know, teaching all these young kids how to play soccer.
That's
But-
awesome.
But it was the time that was most important, you know. So I got to 99% of the practices. I got to 95% of the games, and
Yeah.
and I would never take that back, and I would love to do it all over again.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I
Interesting.
got the happy balance, you know. So, you know, did I work 14-hour days like my father? No, I'd work 10-hour days. But, you know, thankfully for technology, you can do a lot of it from home or on the road. But it was more important for me to be able to spend time with my son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Those are great. So far, accept change, find happy work-life balance. And what would you say is number 3?
Don't do
helped
something
you.
you're not passionate about. Just don't do it.
Passion. Yeah. We always
Have
talk
passion.
about that. Passion. We actually rate it number 1.
Yes.
If you got the passion for what you're doing, you'll do it
for
until
sure.
you become good at it.
Yeah.
Right.
Some people have said something contrary. I don't know what you guys think about this. They're like, forget passion, forget happiness, do what gets you results or something. Something like that. What's your take on that?
Oh, that sounds so fulfilling.
Yeah. Just
Honest-
keep doing it.
honestly, I mean, if you're not passionate
Okay.
about it, you're just showing up to work. You know, how much fun is that? What have you got to show for it at the end of the day?
Sounds boring.
There is actually a
to be honest.
research. There is I don't know, good percentage of people in North America are not content. Like there is a big percentage, like 70% people are not happy where they are or content.
Yes.
Working where they are. And that shows they don't have the passion. And then it shows in an organization. So for any organization, it's actually very lucky for them. They get the people, and those people love to do what they're doing.
Yes.
And they're each,
They're more engaged.
yeah, yeah. Because if you're just sitting there trying to collect paycheck, you won't even have that at the end of it. Because I mean, if you're not working for your true passion, no money is going to make you feel happy, right?
Of course.
So if you're not going to reach your goal, so that's very powerful. Passion, yeah, I rate it number 1. Passion, passion, passion. I have done so many things free because of passion. If I had money factor in there, I would have restricted myself from that knowledge, receiving it. Because when I did it, I got something in return. I met someone, I got a connection, I learned something. And if I was like, money and I better be paid because I'm putting my hours, probably I wouldn't have that opportunity of learning.
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
it's huge.
That's
Okay.
interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah, I don't know. There's a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. He says the same thing in that book. He's like, he was upset because he's getting paid like $10 an hour. But his rich dad saying, hey, I'm teaching you all this stuff. Who cares about all the money? So cool. Like what you just said, Adeel, it backs it up.
Like the main goal, the main thing that you're doing, majority of it has to meet your passion. There are things you don't like. Like I have to deal with accounting and I hate it. And with little the accounting that we got, I hate it. Like I don't want to get near it. It's just the one last thing I always want to do because it's just. But you have to do it. There is no way you can become successful. Like workout, maybe eating healthy. There are things you don't want to. You want to eat junk. Like it's so easy. Just grab something and. But you have to take certain decisions in your life that you don't like. It cannot be your passion. I'm sure like workout is not passion for a lot of people, but they still do it to stay fit. So you have to do some things to stay above the water, but your majority of life should be all about passion.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right on.
Just as we move into the next question, I know you're busy, very busy man, Shane, so we don't want to take your whole day up. So the question is I'll share one from King, and I'll have one personal question as well. So let's go to the second thing that King asked. I'll go to number 3, and he asked, what were your turning points in business? The biggest turning point for you?
I think the biggest turning point was becoming president of the company.
No.
Up until that point, we had really run with my father's vision of where the company was going to be.
Okay.
And when I became president, obviously I had some different ideas on where we had to go from there.
Yeah.
And it didn't always align with what he wanted or what he liked. But I mean, he was very supportive, even though he didn't agree with it at times.
Of course,
he was very supportive. But I don't think he could have even imagined that it would have grown to this size. I mean, I still remember when he was happy when he made his first $1 million.
Wow.
You know, he still has that check framed on the wall in his office.
Oh, wow.
Wow. He hasn't cashed it yet.
He did cash it, but he just, it was that reminder of how important it was to reach that plateau. And, and again, I mean, that was just a front drive, single family home builder. You know, he thought 100 sales was a huge goal. Then it was 2, then it was 3, then it was 4, then it was 5. And it just grew from there.
Powerful. Wow. Mr. Cal, shout out if you're watching this. And one more question that I have, and we'll go back to Adeel, is what are your like day-to-day activities as the visionary of your company?
You know what the funny part is? Yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier on. My son thinks I have the most boring job in the world. Because he says, all you do is go to meetings. I said, yeah, meetings and functions. But that's how you have to guide the group of companies. You have to have a high-performance team around you, and they fill in the gaps. Ideally, I'm like you. Financing doesn't come to me easy. But I know I have to deal with it. But give me a little sales and marketing task, I'm going to have fun with that one. And social media.
Right.
But it's an interesting job, to take on, and it's tough to kind of accept at first because you become more hands off on the day-to-day things.
Right.
So now we sat through a management meeting this morning, and I get updates from every department. I've got all their notes, and we hit the highlights of it. Nice. And 4 hours later, you emerge from the room a little bit smarter and a little bit more brain dead. But then, they're looking for answers, too. Although you have that high-performance team, they're sitting there saying, this is what I think you should do. And about 90% of the time, you're going to agree with them, and 10% you're not. You're going to go out on your own and say, we're doing this instead. So it's guidance that way. It's mentoring. Because after this many years and this many experiences, you do have a lot to give back, and you shouldn't want to keep it. You shouldn't want to covet it. You should want to share it. That's most important because, there's another generation coming up.
Right.
You deserve to know all the best practices so you don't make the same mistakes that we did. You can make your own mistakes, but you can't make the same ones I did.
Yeah. So is your son, are you expecting or is he looking into becoming part?
He works for us part-time. If he decides to pursue it, great. If he doesn't, that's totally up to him.
Right.
Again, we talk about third-generation companies. Here's a kid where numbers come to him naturally. Yeah. So, his major in school is finance and accounting.
Right. You have this quote. It's earn it, don't expect it.
Yes.
Right. So it's that. So if your son is worthy of earning it, then he gets the position.
Absolutely.
He's not expected or not going to be given to him.
I learned that at an early age, because I wasn't destined to become the president of the company.
Yeah.
We had a special consultant come in, talk to us about succession planning, do some testing on everybody in the management team. But if I wasn't capable, I wasn't going to become president.
Right.
First and foremost, this is a business. Even though it's a family business, it's a business. Even today, I'm responsible for 126 people. I can't let them down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's the team, and they're looking, they're following that leader, which is you. So you got to make sure, like, you guide them to the place where it's a true success for everyone. Powerful. Okay. I just got just a few questions, and then I got a very interesting, unique question that I had in mind, and I said I'm going to ask Mr. Shane that I haven't asked any of our guests. And that question is that, now, you obviously got everything set up and running great and well. Let's say if everything was taken away from you, or let's say you didn't have the company and you have all the knowledge that you have today and all the skills, and you were left with 10 grand.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Tech startup.
Tech startup?
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll start a technology company.
Yes.
Right on. Oh, interesting.
Well, I mean, if you're blowing it the first time, you might as well try something different the second time.
I thought your answer would be like, yeah, I'll start building home somehow. I'll find a client and then build their first house or something.
Maybe it was a sign to, to build that kind of capacity up again would take longer than I probably have or have the patience for. But something like that would be a fun, different adventure, so maybe it's that.
100%. And
That's genius. Adeel actually would say the same thing, I assume.
Yeah.
He's a very tech guy as well.
Yeah, I love tech, and I want to use it. Like, why wouldn't you use to make your life easier if it's there, right?
sure.
So it's there to be used and to be actually enhanced. So yeah, for sure. I think I would do the same. Like, if there is another company I could open where I could put all my intention, which we have something cooking, it would be the tech.
Yeah.
Something in there. And there's so much, like I said, in construction itself. So we're so behind on the tech. Like everything else, I think every area that you look at, it has like the learning, the schooling, right? There's different websites and there is different places and even places to work, like freelancing. And there's so much, like everything has gone to the next level, except actually two things, real estate and construction. And construction is very behind. Like real estate, there's still, a lot of development has happened, like Zillow.com and like other places and similar softwares that you can use to do things. But construction, it's a huge industry.
Sure it is.
And it's so far behind. Like even on the software side of the things, it's so behind. Like there are new stuff happening in the technology, but it's not there for day-to-day use, to be used to be efficient. Yeah, it hasn't been fully applied yet.
Maybe with AI expanding out now, you'll see some improvements that way.
Yeah. I actually that's another thing I want to do. What's your opinion on AI? How much attached are you to it? Are you using it anywhere right now?
We're not using it anywhere right now, but we do know it's going to make changes to the way we do things.
It's the next thing coming.
It's the next thing coming, and you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
And of course, the minute you hear it come up, I always think Terminator and Judgment Day. But
Judgment Day.
I guess if your time's up, boys. But there could be tremendous benefits for it. And I guess I always sat there and said, if you can't get people to go into the workforce, then what else do you fill the gap with? I mean, McDonald's proved that you could do that with putting touchscreens into their locations because they couldn't get people to work.
Right on.
So
yeah.
what's going to happen in our industry?
Yeah.
People just, they're going to hop on the website, build their house, and then they're going to come out to a location and maybe finish it up. Maybe it's not a salesperson one day. Maybe it's an AI bot.
Yeah. I think, like, we were discussing that, and I said, Kevin, don't worry about it. You're going to be employed for a very long time because construction, like, the job takeover and all that discussion. So construction is the last place. Like, I don't think that 3D homes are going to be at that level anytime soon where you can satisfy the consumer, right? There's a lot of things. A home is where you spend 2/3 of your time for a lot of people. So I don't think the technology in terms of building is there yet. Sure, you can, with your app, you can run your house and make it efficient and then,
Sure.
Open door, lock doors and things like that. But there's no way you can going to be able to build a house without a human support. So, yeah.
You just might need less human support.
So we'll have a job for some time.
Great.
Right on. Okay, to my last question is that I want to ask you, what are the 3 key things that you apply in your life to stay on top, to be successful? It could be anything, like what your habits, or what are the 3 things you're like, it's always on top of my mind?
Well, again, you have that work-life balance. So, I mean, you try and balance it out at home. And,
Right.
Thankfully, my partner and I, we have differing schedules at times. So it's pretty easy to, work here for about 6 hours and then spend some time with him and then work here for 4 hours. Well, he's engaged doing something else. So, I mean, that works out for me. That's
Right.
my own unique situation, but you need to apply tech to making this happen. I have a phone that, I get told I spend too much time on, and I'm sitting there saying I'm coordinating my day, I'm taking phone calls, I'm sending text messages. I
Right.
might be answering questions on social media from people as well.
Interesting.
Don't give me trouble, I'm working.
Yeah, but you do get some very interesting requests that way. So thankfully, technology is there for us
Right.
to use.
Right.
But having, I always go back to that work-life balance is, finding out, who says that a day, starts at 8:30 or 8 and finishes at 4:30? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
In today's world, especially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful. So, right on. So you use technology, work-life balance.
Yeah.
What's the third?
How do you recognize when you're in burnout mode? We had one salesman who just retired from us, but his routine was he would make sure he went on a 2-week vacation every 3 months because he knew he was going to burn out.
Wow.
I think recognizing that you're burning out, take the time off. Leave this phone sitting there at home. Nobody needs to find you. We couldn't find you 30 years ago. It didn't matter.
Right.
So take the time when you're
Take a breather.
Take a breather. Don't burn out.
Yeah.
I like the do not disturb button
So
on
do
your
I.
phone. It's really nice.
Yes, absolutely.
It's really good. Yeah, I need it. It's good to. I realize when I look at my phone, I get like anxiety, so I put it away, like in another room, and I feel better.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it feels good.
That is actually a great exercise to go through. Leave it plugged in somewhere else. When you wake up in the middle of the night, for God's sakes, don't look at it.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can be resolved then, anyways. So wait till the next morning.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even say hop out of bed and look at it. Give yourself some time. Wake up.
Right.
Find a routine and then look at it.
Then look at it. Yeah. Powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we come to end of our podcast. We got so much, plenty of information, and I think are going to need a day or two just to absorb everything. It's been my pleasure to have you here, Mr. Shane.
Yeah.
We would definitely look into having you here in the future.
Sure.
And because there's still a whole bunch of, I know there's things that I didn't cover that I kind of forgot. And then I know there's going to be a whole bunch of questions after this podcast.
For sure.
That you would have kind of thing. And then, so I would definitely love to have you back here in our studio and discuss more about construction, about home building, work-life balance, and life in general. So thanks again for being here. You've been absolute honor for us.
Well, thank you for having me, gentlemen. I really do appreciate it. I'm happy to share my knowledge.
For sure, yeah.
Wonderful.
I know there's so many topics we could cover, like we could even get into the controversy another time, but that'd be exciting. But hey, another day. Is there anything last that you want to cover, or any promotion, anything you want to like plug, or anything
What,
you want to share?
the unselfish plug?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you can find the Shane Holmes Group of Company on any social media platform. Simply at Shane Holmes. You can find me
It's not hard to find.
on a lot of the platforms. That's pretty simple too. It's at Shane Wenzel.
Right. And he's
Yeah.
on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, check him out on
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
And
for
I
sure.
do, and I do take questions, and I do give answers. You know,
Right. Yeah.
I
He's,
just may not answer right away, quick, because I get a lot of them now.
yeah. No
I think you
stupid
actually gave me
questions.
trouble once on LinkedIn. I was
Did
like,
I?
and you actually lectured me on some stuff, and I was like, oh man,
I
on
gave-
sales or something. I think I tried to sell you something or pitch you something, and you're like, hey, don't say this, and I was like, all right.
The famous old, take me out for dinner before. Right, thank you.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes.
That was funny.
Yeah, powerful. Yeah, you can reach Mr. Shane on LinkedIn, on the website as well.
Yeah.
Right. And ask questions. He's actually really good commenting, so don't ask any stupid questions.
Don't try and sell me right off the bat.
Yeah. Don't be Kevin.
Yeah. There's actually a couple of videos by Shane on that social selling, by the way. Very valuable. So
very
that's good
powerful
for
stuff.
etiquette, online etiquette.
Yeah. All right. So I think Kevin already asked that. Any last thought for our audience? Any last message? What they should do?
Still my favorite line. Earn it, don't expect it.
There we go. Earn it, guys. Don't expect it. Work hard for it and make it yours. So thanks a lot, everyone, for being here, for being part of this podcast. And thanks for our actually listeners and viewers for asking the questions. And if there is any questions in the future that you want to be asking Mr. Shane, do let us know. We'll have him definitely in near future here. Thanks again, everyone. Thank you for being here. Happy Friday and have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This is episode 17 of the Adeel Pirzada podcast. Check us out here on YouTube, Anchor, and Spotify. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Take care.